Let's talk about if you are a manifesting generator, a mani-gen, or if your client's a mani-gen. So first off, you might want to watch the videos on manifestors and generators because there's going to be pieces of that apply. Just like it sounds, a manifesting generator would be part manifestor and part generator. The most important thing to know is the response. So before you do anything, are you responding? What are you responding to? And the question I usually get is, well, how do I know if I'm responding? What's a response? And to me, it's you responding to something that's outside of yourself. It can get a little more complicated, but if you're just getting started, you're responding to something that is outside of yourself. And you can check that by asking the and questions. So yes or no questions, natural guess, whatever your gut says. We want to do the to turn off the lizard brain. Yes or no, it's going to sway it. And just start practicing that if you haven't gotten used to that. So before you do something, you can ask yourself, am I responding? Or And it sounds silly, but it will help. And ideally, we want to be able to tune into what are we responding to, especially when we're offering an offer, or launching something. What are we responding to? Is it coming from our logical mind? Is it, our brain saying, hey, it'd be really great to have extra income by here, so we should launch something? Or is it that response in your body? And for me, I can actually feel my responses. It's taken a while, but it's, a very visceral feeling that I get in the sacral. And it's like, okay, I know whether I'm responding. I can proceed on. There are other times when I think I might be, maybe, and I'm really excited about an idea. I'm ready to go create it, to go bring it forward. And then I ask, am I responding? And we just want to make sure that we're doing that because the response is literally what turned the key on for the car to go. We can have the road, all mapped out. We can have the idea already there, but it's not going to go anywhere unless that response is there to move energy forward. So that is why we always start with the response. Before we get too far, the next important thing to ask yourself is there anywhere associated with this that I need to backtrack or that I've missed steps? Because if we can pinpoint those early, that's going to save you a lot of time. You're not going to be able to pinpoint all of them. That's okay, because that's part of being a manifesting generator. This is why sometimes it's great to talk things out with other people or to have a team, because they will see where you are skipping steps. I also think of this as, this is the thing that I am the most guilty for. The projects that are mostly done, but not quite done. It's a thing that just sits on the to-do list for forever because there's that one last piece that you haven't figured out. And those things are all energy drains. We do want to make sure that we are, either closing out the energy or coming back to those things and finishing. For me, it's usually things like, the funnel or, making sure that all of the emails flowing into the next piece, like the funnel might be set up, but some of the emails that actually connect to the next piece are missing because I wrote here's the value emails, I never connected the dots. Simple things like that can be where we want to come back to it. And let's think about, marketing. So marketing the response, super important. And we want to think about the ways to generate that and the ways to work with that. So since the mani-gen can respond and then we'll kind of, move forward and inform, think about what are people asking you about. Chances are if you get asked the same question, pretty frequently, you have that I need to change something about this. There's something I need to say about this. That's a great place to get inspiration from. That's likely an offer you're supposed to be creating. You can also ask yourself questions like, what do I wish that I could say to my community when I see them post? For me, I like scrolling through Facebook, Instagram, wherever when I need some inspiration or when I feel like there's something I want to write but I don't have a response yet. scroll through and then see, wait for the thing where somebody is doing it completely different than I am. And I'm looking at this and I go, this could be so much easier. This could be so much easier. And then I write a whole post, and it's from that response, and it's not me trying to force something. It's the response moving energy. You can also ask your community where they are struggling with something or what in particular they want to know more about. And then you can create your marketing plan. And sometimes it can be, even if you already have your offer, figure out these are like the 3 pieces that connect to it. These are maybe it's the 3 things that they struggle with around it. Ask them about, which one is the one that you want help with, or which one is the one that bothers you the most. And then once you get your answer, you can then change and shift your wording and how you connect with them and how you're responding to them based off of what they actually want to hear from you. And that can make things a lot smoother and a lot faster. A really important thing to note, like generators, you need to slow down with your marketing. If you have an idea and it's an that doesn't mean go launch it by the end of the week. That means start feeling into the energy, start processing it, come up with your plan, get excited, let your excitement build, give yourself time to really build up that energy instead of oh, I have energy, let me go use it immediately, because we want that energy to build, and you need to have time to get everybody else involved. One of the things that I have found fascinating is just having my generators and my mani gens slow down their launches and expand their launches completely would shift them from not making a ton of money to suddenly being really solid in their income. Or if they already were making decent, to doubling. And it can be something as instead of having that 2-week launch that everybody says is what you should have, maybe have a 2-week tease period beforehand and then have the 2-week launch, or expand it to a 3-week launch or even a 4-week launch. I personally, as a mani gen, love 4-week launches. It gives me time to get my ducks in a row, especially if I hadn't already before the launch. It gives me time to pivot and change as I feel into the energy of the launch. Because as a mani gen, you're likely never going to stick to the plan exactly. You need to give yourself space to pivot. And if you don't, there's going to be that pressure and things are going to get a little jammed. I like just having extra space. So it's oh, if, I'm responding to this, or I see that everybody needs this, I have time to come back and look at my plan and go, okay, well, maybe instead of, having talks and posts about this topic, we're going to change it and be about this, rather than it having to be well, I don't have time to change anything. So allow yourself to pivot along the way. You're not going to know what's aligned until you get into the energy that's part of being a mani gen. Once you actually get into that energy, then you'll feel that response of, okay, this is right for me, or this isn't quite as right for me as I thought it was. Trust that. I'm sure you can think of a million reasons, or a million times you could look back in your life where you're that is what happened. I wish I had listened to that. For me, I think about it like the sacral response and, the Taylor Swift song, I Knew You Were Trouble. When I discovered about my sacral, which can kind of relate to this because it's that same allowing yourself to pivot, it was that, there were so many times when I was I got that note of this might be a bad idea, but it was my plan, so I had to go through with it anyway, and that is never a good plan for a mani gen. You're allowed to respond again once you're in the energy of something. You don't have to anchor yourself in. That's going to push yourself out of alignment. So it can be more you feel a sacral response. You have that. You visualize what that can look like. Great. You inform the people around you. You make magic happen. And then you pivot when necessary. That can be your new mantra. Okay. So business-wise, mani gens tend to do really well creating offers and packages in stages. I would say beta test it in the smallest possible version first. If you are familiar with the client prescription, you'll think of it as that entry irresistible offer. beta test it as that. You could even do smaller versions and if needed, and then do that beta test. And then you keep offering the program. Repeat, adjust, grow. First time I ran Spellbinding Sales, it was under a month long. I think technically it was 15 days. It was a ton of value thrown in. And the thing that I noticed was, okay, so I could see which lessons people connected to. I can see what questions that they still had after lessons. But a lot of them continued working with me over the next 6 months in another mastermind. And I could see, some of these things take longer to integrate. You need integration exercises. You need more time practicing them while you're in my energy so you can ask more questions. And then the program developed and evolved into a 6-month version. And we could still see, okay, that's great, but people need more time to work with each tier of clients. So then it became the 12-month version, and here we are. And now we can just improve lessons, add extra content, make it better. Those are the stages. You don't have to do the big final version at once because it's never going to happen. You're going to plateau more if you try to fight it and go for that version. Instead, take it, in bite-sized pieces. Like generators, mini-gens, you also need more flexible time off. I would say even more than a generator. You don't have to be on all the time, but you're going to create really hard. And then you need that extra integration time so you can process everything before moving forward. And when you're not doing that, that's when you're going to see those plateaus happen of like feeling like you're stuck, like you're not getting anywhere, like you're not getting sales, you don't even know what to do. Those are going to be those plateaus. And the more we can integrate and give ourselves space to integrate changes, the less we're going to have those plateaus where we feel like we're getting stuck. Plateaus are natural. We're still going to have plateaus. We can make them smoother and easier. That said, in life you do need to be multitasking so your body knows what to do. And the prime example, my husband actually told me, I think it was last year, that I shouldn't ever not have a group program open, because otherwise I sit here and I try to create all the things that can fill that spot, that multitask need of, even if I'm fully booked with one-to-one clients, it's not enough. I have to have some other outlet. And you may see this in other areas of your life too, where you need to have several things going on. That said, it's not an excuse to do 12 different things at once and then not have any of them get done. For myself, my team has to look at, here are projects that are going on, how many tasks go under each one, and do we have space for another project? And then they will politely remind me when we do not, when I try to go to the next thing, because we need to finish what is already in front of us before we create more energetic drains, and also just so for everyone's own sanity. But know what you need. For me, I need 2 things. I need at least 2 streams coming into my business typically. A group program may be enough for you because you're working with so many different people, especially if there's different tiers. That may be enough to anchor it in where you still feel like you're multitasking and your body's getting enough from it. So you can play around with it, but know that you likely need different outlets for each different area of your life so that you can make sure that you are processing all energy as you can. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about if your client's a mini-gen. Obviously, everything we just talked about is going to apply. But if you're trying to bring them in, start asking questions. This is going to be the fabulous thing. Give them something to respond to. Ask them questions so their sacral can start ahhing with you. And then they're going to be more likely to move forward because each is going to give them momentum. And I like using questions to remind them where they are, where they're struggling, where they might want some improvement. If they have, if they're connected to a different vision. And we want to ask them the questions that we know they're going to before getting to, the sales copy, the sales page, the invite in, whatever, so that they are building that energy and it's just continuing to move in and they feel safer saying to you as well, because they've already said to, okay, this person understands my vision and they see me. Great. Also, you want to give them a chance of how can you help them feel what it's like to experience working with you so they can start to pivot into you, and allowing them to have that little taste, that experience of working with you. It could be maybe that's a special event and a launch where you're live or you do a Zoom. It could be a low price, offer that you have. It could be that you do workshops. It could be Facebook Lives. There are things to play with. For me, I typically like the small low priced offer, the entry priced offer, and because you can structure that in a way where it's very similar to however they're going to work with you. For one-to-one, it can still work, but you may want to do something that's in the structure of your one-to-one, either live or it could be even a paid, 5-person only, private intimate group where we're doing this, and it's at a lower cost than your one-to-one, but it could be like a VIP day or a workshop or something. But that gives them the taste so they feel safer moving in. Continue to ask them questions, allow them to trust their sacral, give them a little bit of space so that they can shift. Don't try to rush them too much, but you can also apply a little bit more pressure than you could on another type necessarily. And allow them to see the vision. That's going to be a necessary part, because after they get that response, remember, they need to feel that vision. So if you can allow them to get that vision and then even to talk about what that would look like for them, then they're going to be more likely to take the next step in. So that's a few tips to help work with mani-gens and to help bring them in. Have any more questions, feel free to let me know. Bye!